Hi everyone, it's Lindy. It's Lindy. Okay, so I wanted to do a video about a question that I get asked a lot. And rather than keep answering the questions in the live videos and messages and things like that, I figured I would just go ahead and do a video about it and hopefully cover the wide spectrum of all of the answers to a similar question. And that question is about how to price your items. When it comes down to it, you and only you can determine how you price an item. It's going to vary on how much you pay for an item, what the item is, what the market value is for the item. So really, there is no special recipe. There is no guidelines. I can't just tell you, oh, well, you need to list it for this and it'll sell. It's not how it works. I could always give my best opinion, but when it comes down to it, it's going to depend on your profit margins. And if you paid a certain cost for this item, if you price it wrong, you're going to either lose money or only break even, and that's going to be a waste of time. So I figured that I would just tell you guys how I go about pricing my own items and my mindset. That way you could maybe translate it into your own kind of method, own kind of system. And if you're brand new to listing on eBay and you really have no experience pricing and you don't really know how to start, maybe this can help give you some sort of a guideline. So, okay, here we go. Okay, so let's start with buy it nows. And when I say buy it now, I mean firm buy it now. No best offer, just buy it now. Whenever I do a firm buy it now without a best offer, I basically either have a set price in my brain of something that maybe I've sold something similar before and I know how much I want to get out of it, or let's say I have a certain amount of money into it and I have just a firm price in my head of how much I want to get for it. If there's a firm buy it now price, I try to shoot for 3 to 4 times what I paid for the item at a minimum. But that also depends on the kind of item. You know, if it's a common item, then if I paid $2 for it, I don't want to price it for less than $8 plus the cost of shipping. Just for example, that would be a firm, that's how much I know. But of course, depending on how popular or the quality of the item, you don't just maybe want to shoot for 4 times. Maybe if it's an item worth $100, if you only paid 10 for it, well then shoot, you want to go for more than 4 times that, which would be 40. So it also depends on the value of your item. But I always try to shoot for 3 to 4 times what I paid for the item at a minimum. And those are the things that I already know what I want to price it at. If you have something brand new and you want to price it at a buy it now firm without a best offer, and you need to research the sold comps, what I always do if I don't know how to price an item is I will search the sold comps within eBay. And of course, if you don't know how to do that, it's very, very simple. It's just like a regular eBay search, but then on the far left-hand column, I guess it would be over here for you guys, right? On the left-hand column, where you can select like the category, a price range, things like that. If you scroll down to towards the bottom of the column, there's a little box you can check for sold listings only. And once you check that box, when you do your search, everything that comes up will have been a sold price and the price will be in green. What I do when I research a new item is I'll look at all of the sold listings, and if it's a common item, like if it's an article of clothing that maybe there are thousands of out there, I will try to price at the lower end of the sold comps. So if like the prices are all over the place, then I will try to price on the lower end to make my listing stand out. Something else that I make sure that I do whenever I research sold comps is I do not look at the sold comps for bids. I don't look at auctions. I only look for the sold comps with buy it nows, because I find that the sold comps with buy it nows are a lot more realistic, because there might have been a problem with the auction. You know, maybe someone priced the auction too low, maybe the seller made a mistake and they never should have put it on that price. So I always look at buy it now comps, not auction comps. So if it's an item that's common, I'll try to price it towards the lower end of the sold comps. That way I know that I'm competitive for common items. If it's a rarer item, or if there's not as many listed, like let's say a certain brand of jeans in a certain size, I will price more towards the middle to the high end of the comps. Because if it's a little bit more rare, if there's not a whole lot listed currently, then you have something a little bit more special. So if you're pricing it on the low end of the comps, you might be robbing yourself a little bit of money, because if someone is looking for that item and there's not a whole lot out there, you're missing an opportunity to make a little bit more money. So that is how I price the buy it now firm items, with either common or rarer items that I might have. Okay, now buy it nows with best offer. This is one I get a lot, but I didn't want to just do a video about this one in particular because there are other things that go along with it. But there's a lot of questions about when to accept best offers. How do I accept best offers? When should I accept best offers? What should I consider a good offer? What's a bad offer? So, and then I also had a question just over the weekend where someone was asking if I could show what I priced something at versus what best offer I took. But the thing of it is, it's really hard to do that because it's hard to do that. So I figured I would kind of just tell you. Best offers for me, again, I say, there is no right or wrong way to accept a best offer. It's going to depend on you. It's going to depend on how much money you spent on the item. It's going to depend on how long you've had the item, how desperate you are to move it. There's so many reasons either to accept a best offer or to not accept a best offer. So how I go about doing it is I like to take best offers that's at least on the top half of my asking price. So what I will do is I will come up with a price. Usually a lot of the things that I have priced are in the same kind of, you know, areas. Like tops, I normally price around $11.99 or $12.99. Jeans are usually around $16.99, $17.99, maybe even $19.99 or higher, depending on the brand. So I have kind of a general, I guess, rule in my head of how I price things, but that also comes from I have set sourcing costs in my brain. You know, I won't pay more than a certain dollar amount for jeans or tops or whatever. So I have that going on in my head. So I kind of have my own little pricing strategy. But for the most part, what I will do for jeans, just for example, you know, if jeans I expect or I would like to get $10 on the low end of a best offer, then I'll price it somewhere around $16.99 or $17.99 with best offer. I figure with $16.99 or $17.99, if someone offers me on the top half at least $10, then that's the best offer that I would be willing to accept. Again, depending on the brand of jeans. Going to depend. If it's a common, super common brand that I have 100 of in my store, then I'll be more likely to take the $10. But if it's a brand that maybe I only have a couple of, or if it's a really good size that I only have a couple of, maybe I'll shoot for a little bit higher. But as a general rule, I always tend to accept best offers that are on the top half of my asking price. Now, you do have to make sure that if you want to follow a similar rule, you have to make sure that your item is worth that dollar amount. If realistically you would not pay $12.99 for something, don't ask $12.99 for something, because just because you have buy it now on the item doesn't mean someone's going to use just because you have best offer on the item doesn't mean someone's going to use best offer. Someone could pay full price for it. And if they get it and they don't think that it's worth that $17.99, then they're going to be upset and either want to return it or they're going to give you a negative or a neutral feedback. So just because you want to take a best offer that's a lot lower, make sure the item is still worth the asking price. Okay, now that's an example for jeans. For tops, it's a little bit different. The kind of tops that I can get really aren't brands that are worth a whole lot, so I don't tend to price my tops around, you know, $17.99. Instead, I will expect to get maybe like a $7 or higher best offer of tops. That means that I will price them more like $11.99 or $12.99. So $11.99 or $12.99, I'll usually accept a best offer of $7 or higher because that is, again, on the top 50% of my asking price. But again, make sure that the top is worth that much money. That way, if someone just does a buy it now instead of submitting a best offer, they're not disappointed. And I have notes. That's what I'm looking at because I wanted to make sure I didn't leave anything out. Again, make sure that you're not underpricing your item as well. Just because, you know, you paid $2 for something, this goes back to what I was talking about earlier with 3 to 4 times your money back. If you were able to get an item for $5 that is worth 50, then price closer to 50. Know your value, but know what you're willing to accept for best offer as well. Don't sell yourself short. But as a general rule, the top 50% is what I shoot for. There are a lot of people that consider 50% off the asking price lowball offer. I agree when it's not clothing. Clothing items, a 50% best offer is kind of what I expect. That's why I tend to price my items a little bit higher. But for things like hard goods or electronics, yeah, 50% off of the asking price is a little much. So if I have something that is like an electronic device or a hard good, that's when I usually tend to price something as a buy it now firm without a best offer. That's just kind of how I operate. If it's an electronic or a hard good, then I will just price it at what I want for it and leave it at that. I usually don't do best offers unless it's clothing items. Everything else is usually firm. And last but not least, auctions. Auctions are a little difficult because I usually only utilize auctions to move merchandise that is just sitting stale in my store. But generally, whenever I list an auction, I try to at least list it for double what I paid for it. So if I paid $2 for something, I will try to start the bids at $3.99. That way it's double what I asked for it. If it's been in my store a really long time and I've tried doing a $3.99 bid start auction, then I'll probably just try to lower it to whatever I paid for it just to get it out. But I do always do added shipping, and I do a flat shipping rate of the cost of what it's going to take to ship the item plus 10% to cover fees. Because if you are doing an auction just to basically get your money back or double your money back, you want to make sure that you have a little bit of wiggle room to take out those fees. And I use the flat rated shipping to do that. So for instance, if I'm selling a shirt that's going to cost $3.30 to ship, I might charge a flat shipping fee of $3.98. That way the 68 cents that is the overage from that shipping goes towards fees and things like that. So that's how I do auctions. All right, you guys, thank you so much for watching. I really hope that this video helped you out a little bit trying to figure out, how to price things. Or maybe it gave you some new ideas if you have been reselling for a little while and you just wanted some different ideas of how to go about pricing things, or if you wanted to try a new selling strategy, maybe if you're used to only doing auctions, or if you are interested in best offer, how you would go about pricing things for best offer. hopefully it helped you out. But again, I say only you can tell how much you need to get out of an item in order to make a little bit of money. So just price things at what you're comfortable at. Try new things. I try new things all the time. You know, I never get so set in my ways to where I'm not willing to try pricing something a little different, or if I'm, you know, getting tired of doing the same old thing, maybe I'll try something new. So hopefully this helps you out. So if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up and let me know. If you have any questions or comments, you can feel free to leave them in the comments below. If you haven't subscribed to me yet, I hope you will. Thank you guys again so much for watching. I will see you with my next video. Bye.